What if I told you that the most important part of your fishing trip happens in the first 30 seconds you're at the water, and that most of us get it completely wrong? Today, we're not talking about lures, rods, or fancy electronics. We're talking about the invisible force field of nope you might be projecting, spooking every fish in a 100-foot radius before your bait even hits the water. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll look at how you approach the bank or the boat dock in a whole new and much more successful way. This is the real reason some days feel cursed, and it has nothing to do with luck. Think you're already a quiet fisherman? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you thought about the sound your truck door makes? For generations, the old wisdom has been, be quiet when you're fishing. And that's true, but it's a massive oversimplification. We've been told not to shout or splash around, and we think we've got it covered. But the real problem is baked into our habits. We get excited, we pull up to a great-looking spot, we're eager to get that line in the water, and our brain is focused on one thing, casting. In that rush, we forget everything else. We slam the car door, we stomp down the bank to get a better look, we drop a heavy tackle box on the ground. We do these things on autopilot because our focus is on the prize, not the process. This is why bad trips repeat themselves. We blame the lure, the weather, the barometric pressure, anything but the earthquake we created the moment we arrived. First, let's talk about the seismic slam, the sound of your car or truck door shutting. To us, it's just a normal sound, but to the environment, it's a sharp, unnatural percussion. That low-frequency thump travels through the ground and into the water far more efficiently than you can imagine. Picture this, you're a big bass, sitting in 2 feet of water near the bank, ambushing baitfish. Everything is calm. Then, suddenly, boom! A deep, resonant vibration shakes your entire world. That isn't a sound you hear with your ears, it's a shock wave you feel with your whole body through your lateral line. It's the universal signal for large predator nearby. You don't wait to see what it is. You either bolt for deep water or clamp down so tight to the bottom you won't eat for an hour. You just ended your chances from 50 yards away, and you haven't even seen the water yet. Next up is the bank stomp. Most people walk with a heavy heel strike. We plant our heel and roll forward. On pavement, it's no big deal. On a soft riverbank or the shore of a pond, every single step is a mini earthquake. Think about it like this. You're standing in your kitchen and someone upstairs is stomping around. You can feel it through the floor. Water transmits those vibrations even better than air. So as you're marching down to your perfect spot, you're essentially sending out sonar pings with your feet that say, "Here I come, giant thing approaching." A much better way is to learn to walk softly, rolling your foot from the outside edge to the toe like a predator would. It feels weird at first, but it makes a world of difference. You're not just trying to be quiet, you're trying to be vibration-free. That's the real secret. Then we have the gear drop. You've made it to the water's edge, you've tried to be quiet, and now it's time to set up. What's the first thing you do? You put your 20-pound tackle box on the ground, and you don't place it like it's a priceless artifact. You just drop it. That thud is just as bad as slamming a car door, but it's happening right on top of the fish. It's the equivalent of someone dropping a bowling ball on the floor above your bedroom. Imagine a crappie suspended near a dock piling. Your tackle box hitting the wooden planks of the dock above it is a catastrophic event. The same goes for dropping pliers in an aluminum boat or letting your cooler slide and bang against the side. Every one of those sharp, hard sounds is an eviction notice for any fish nearby. Place your gear down like it's made of glass. Let's move on to the shadow monster. Fish are hardwired to look for threats from above. Herons, ospreys, eagles, they all hunt from the sky. Their shadows are a death sentence. Now think about your own shadow. On a sunny day, you arrive at the bank and, without thinking, you walk right to the edge, casting a long, dark, human-shaped shadow over the exact spot you want to fish. To a shallow water fish, this is a terrifying predator swooping in. They don't have the brain power to rationalize that it's just a person. All they see is a sudden, moving darkness, and their primal instinct screams danger. They will be gone in a flash. Always be aware of the sun's position. Approach from a direction that keeps your shadow off the water you intend to fish, or use available cover like trees or tall reeds to break up your outline. You have to think like a hunter, not just a caster. Let's dig deeper into how you walk. I mentioned the bank stomp, but it's more nuanced than that. The key is understanding how sound travels differently through different materials. A heavy footstep on soft, damp mud is absorbed and muffled. That same footstep on dry leaves and twigs is a loudspeaker, crackling and snapping with every move. Walking on gravel is like setting off a string of firecrackers. Before you even leave the truck, take a second to look at the path to your spot. Is it soft grass? Is it a pile of noisy, dry leaves? Plan your route. Sometimes taking a slightly longer path over softer ground is infinitely better than the direct route over a noisy gravel bar. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being deliberate. Every step is a piece of information you're giving to the fish. Make sure you're telling them nothing. Now for a big myth, the idea of quiet talking. We all do it. We get to the spot with a buddy and we start whispering about what lure to use. Here's the truth. Fish don't speak English. They don't care what you're saying. The high-frequency sounds of the human voice don't penetrate water very well at all. However, the low-frequency vibrations from your chest cavity when you talk, especially in a deeper voice, those do. It's not the words, it's the rumble. It's less of an issue than stomping, but it's still part of the overall noise pollution you're creating. So, by all means, talk to your buddy, but do it back at the truck while you're rigging up. Once you're at the water's edge, the time for conversation is over. Use hand signals if you have to. The silence isn't just for your own concentration, it's a tactical advantage. For the boat anglers, let's discuss the boat clang. An aluminum boat, in particular, is basically a giant metal drum floating on the water. Every single sound you make inside it is amplified and shot directly into the fish's environment. The worst offender, dropping a pair of pliers. That high-pitched clang is like a fire alarm going off underwater. It's a sharp, metallic, unnatural sound that will clear out a spot instantly. The same goes for dropping a weight, a lure, or even your phone. Before you leave the dock, put everything you will need in a specific place where it won't fall over. Put a towel or a piece of foam mat down in the bottom of the boat where you tend to drop things. It's a simple fix that can save your day. Your boat should be a stealth vessel, not a one-man percussion band. And while we're on the boat, let's talk about the trolling motor massacre. Your trolling motor is your best friend for stealth, but only if you use it correctly. So many anglers get into position with their big motor, then kill it, and immediately hit the trolling motor on high speed to hold their spot. That sudden whir and cavitation from the prop is an enormous disturbance. It's the underwater equivalent of a blender turning on in a quiet library. The correct way is to approach your spot from a distance, kill the big motor, and give the area a minute to settle. Then turn your trolling motor on its absolute lowest setting. Use small, intermittent bursts to move into position. You want to glide in, not rocket in. Think of it as sneaking, not sprinting. Here's something even boaters don't often consider, the unseen pressure wave. Water is not empty space, it's a medium that you have to move through. As your boat hull, even a kayak, moves forward, it pushes a wave of water ahead of it. This is called a pressure wave or a bow wake. Fish, with their sensitive lateral lines, can feel this change in pressure long before they can see or hear your boat. If you come into a calm, shallow cove at a relatively high speed, you're literally announcing your arrival with a wall of pressure. Every fish in that cove will feel it coming and turn to face it, wondering what massive creature is approaching. The solution? Slow down way before you get to your spot. A slow, methodical approach creates a much smaller, less alarming pressure wave, allowing you to get much closer without setting off the alarms. Believe it or not, your clothing can be a megaphone. We're talking about the sound your gear makes, that swish, swish, swish of your nylon rain pants as you walk, that zip of a noisy zipper on your jacket. In the dead calm of an early morning, these sounds travel an incredible distance. To a deer in the woods, that sound is an immediate giveaway. A fish in the water might not hear it in the same way, but it's part of the overall soundscape of a clumsy predator. Choose softer materials when you can, like fleece or wool. If you have to wear rain gear, move slowly and deliberately. Every movement should be smooth. Before you cast, as you raise your arm, does your jacket sleeve make a loud sheeing sound? If so, you might be alerting fish with your body language before the lure even starts flying. Let's revisit shadows, but from a different angle. The skyline silhouette. This is a huge mistake for bank fishermen, especially on rivers or small ponds. We have a natural tendency to walk right up to the highest point of the bank to get the best view of the water. When you do this, you are skylining yourself. From the fish's perspective, looking up, they see the bright sky. When your dark body appears, breaking that bright background, you stick out like a sore thumb. You look like a giant, two-legged heron. The fix is simple but requires discipline. Stay low. Crouch as you approach the edge. Use bushes, trees, or tall grass as a backdrop to break up your outline. Never stand on the very top of the bank if you can avoid it. The lower your profile, the less you look like a threat, and the more likely fish will stay put. Now let's talk about the first cast, plop. You've done everything right. You snuck in, you're staying low, you're being quiet, you're ready to make that perfect cast. The temptation is to fire your big 1-ounce spinnerbait right into the heart of that juicy-looking lay-down tree. Don't do it. That huge kerplunk can be the final nail in the coffin. It's another unnatural, loud noise that can spook any fish that you haven't already scared off. Your first few casts should be reconnaissance missions. Use a lighter lure like a weightless soft plastic. Cast it to the edges of the cover, not directly into it. Let the fish get accustomed to some minor disturbance. Work your way from the outside in. This allows you to pick off the most aggressive fish on the perimeter without blowing up the whole spot with your first overeager cast. To really understand why all this matters, we need to break down the lateral line. It's not some mystical fish sense. It's a real physical organ. It's a series of pores running down the side of the fish that contain tiny, hair-like nerve cells. These nerves detect minute changes in water pressure and vibration. It's how a fish feels its surroundings. They can feel a tiny baitfish struggling from yards away. So when you stomp on the bank, they don't hear it with ears. They feel the shock wave with their entire body. When your lure hits the water, they feel the splash. When your boat pushes a pressure wave, they feel the water compressing. The lateral line is 1,000 times more sensitive than our sense of touch. It's their primary defense system. Your job as a stealthy angler is to give that defense system absolutely nothing to report. Think about the ripple effect. I'm talking about a literal ripple. You're at the edge of the water and you accidentally kick a small stone that rolls in, or you wash your hands and send a series of small waves out. To us, it's nothing. To the aquatic environment, it's a sign of a disturbance on the bank. Calm, glassy water suddenly has a pattern emanating from the shore. This can be enough to put wary fish on high alert. This is especially true when fishing for species like carp or spooky trout in clear water. Everything you do at the water's edge matters. Treat the shoreline as a sacred space. Don't kick things, don't toss things in, don't use it as your personal wash station. Every ripple you create is a signal, and you want to be sending no signals at all until your lure is doing the talking. What about the scent trail you leave behind? Now, this is a more debated topic, but it's worth considering. Can a fish smell your deodorant? Probably not, but think about what happens when you walk along a muddy bank. You're churning up the bottom, releasing gases and the scent of decay that has been trapped in the mud. You're breaking plant stems, releasing the smell of fresh chlorophyll. These are unnatural smells in the water column. While it's unlikely to be as impactful as a loud noise or a shadow, it adds to the overall picture of a disturbance. For supersensitive species like catfish or carp, which rely heavily on scent, this could be a factor. It's just one more reason to tread lightly and disturb the natural environment as little as possible. You want to be a ghost, leaving no trace you were ever there. Here's a classic one for my fellow kayak anglers, the kayak catastrophe. A kayak is the ultimate stealth vehicle, but it can also be a noisy mess if you're careless. The number one mistake is banging your paddle against the plastic or fiberglass hull. That thwack sound transmits directly through the hull and into the water. It's a hollow, loud, and completely unnatural noise. Learn to control your paddle. When you switch sides or make adjustments, do it smoothly and consciously. Don't let the paddle shaft hit the boat. Another common mistake is dropping things inside the hollow hull. A pair of forceps dropped inside a sit-in kayak sounds like a gunshot underwater. Organize your cockpit so everything is secure and padded. Your kayak gives you an incredible advantage. Don't waste it with sloppy habits. Let's shine a light on the headlamp horror. This applies to night fishing or those first light and last light situations. Fish don't have eyelids. A sudden bright beam of light in their eyes in the dark is disorienting and terrifying. Anglers often make the mistake of looking directly at the water with their bright white headlamp while they're tying a knot or looking for a lure. This beam sweeps across the very water they intend to fish, spooking everything. The rule is simple: never shine white light directly on the water. If you need light, use a red or green light setting, as those colors penetrate water less effectively and are generally less spooky to fish. And when you do use it, point it down at your hands or into your boat, not out onto the water. Protect the darkness and the fish will feel much more secure. Consider your getting ready ritual. Where do you do it? Most anglers walk down to the water's edge, drop their gear, and then start the process of tying on lures, adjusting their drag, and sorting through tackle. This means all the little clicks, zips, and snaps of getting ready are happening right on top of the fish. You're spending 5 to 10 minutes making small, annoying noises in what should be the quiet zone. A much better approach is to do all of this back at your vehicle. Rig your first rod, have your first few lures in your pocket, and be 100% ready to fish before you even start your stealthy approach to the water. This way, when you arrive at the spot, the only thing left to do is make a silent, perfect cast. You minimize your noisy time at the most critical location. Don't underestimate the group mentality. Fishing with a buddy is one of the best parts of the sport, but it can double your negative impact. If one person is stomping around, that's bad. If 2 people are stomping around, talking and dropping gear, you've created a zone of absolute chaos. Before you head out with a friend, have a quick chat about your approach. Agree to be quiet. Agree to walk softly. Decide who will fish which part of the spot so you're not walking all over each other's water. One person making a mistake can alert the fish. 2 people making mistakes guarantees it. Coordinated, quiet teamwork will not only help you not spook the fish, but it will also make you a more effective fishing team, able to cover water methodically and efficiently. Finally, let's debunk the reset button fallacy. This is the belief that even if you make a lot of noise when you arrive, you can just wait 5 or 10 minutes and everything will go back to normal, that the fish will just forget and reset. This is rarely true. While some less pressured fish might calm down, a big, wary old bass or a spooky trout that has been caught before isn't just going to forget that a potential predator was just causing an earthquake. You may have put that fish down for hours. The damage is done. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and that is especially true in fishing. Your approach isn't a practice run, it is the first, and often most critical, part of the presentation. Getting it right from the start is everything. There is no reset button. So, when you put it all together, it becomes painfully clear. It's often not the lure, the color, or the retrieve. It's about the first 30 seconds after you get out of your truck. It's the door slam, the heavy walk, the shadow you cast, the gear you drop, and the trolling motor you blast. The single biggest takeaway, the real aha moment, is this. The fish knew you were coming long before you ever knew they were there. For years, you may have been playing a game on a field that you, yourself, have tilted against you from the very beginning, but now you know. From this point forward, don't just think about what to cast, Think about how you even get to the point of casting. Your fishing trip truly begins the moment you park. Thanks for sticking with me through this. If this changed how you'll approach the water next time, do me a solid and hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world tips that actually work. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the one mistake from this list that you know deep down you've been making for years? Let's be honest in the comments below.